Well, welcome back to Paulpietersburg, where we're broadcasting live as our journey of water has brought us here. We're actually leaving this destination today after, I think in the previous hour, we gave you quite a great explanation as to what we were doing yesterday and some of the areas that we visited and the fascinating journey of water. And at times sad, actually, because it's quite heart-wrenching to see the effects of, firstly, unemployment and the promise of jobs through the land when you can actually open up mines. But the reality is, what do these mines do to our natural resources, and the most precious of which is, of course, water. So today we're actually going to find out the effects of all of that. We're going to be visiting a disused mine, and I'm really looking forward to that, because we always talk about the effects of these mining activities on our environment, but to actually see it firsthand and experiencing it is a different story altogether. So that's where our journey takes us today. We go to the Bhavani Dam, and we'll be finding out all about that as we go past areas where there are disused mines as well. But somebody who's an expert at all of this and who's going to basically talk us through today and, of course, tomorrow, where we go to Pongola, which is also going to be something quite extraordinary, is Johann Boonzaaier, who is from the Impala Water Users Association. So it's great to have you. Please correct me on that one. Am I right or wrong?
That's correct, yes.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that I remembered it well. Listen, Johann, we talk about mining and the effects of mining on the land, and particularly this land that is so rich in water and which we desperately need. Just how detrimental is it?
Leanne, in this area specifically, this is an extremely water-rich part of South Africa. It is the source, the headwater area of the Pongola River system. It's an international river that also flows into Maputo. We've got on record 20 abandoned mines in this area, and since 2009, we've got 19 new applications in this area. Now, the thing is that they disturb the hydrology, the first thing, underground hydrology, and then, of course, with the reaction that is taking place with the coal layers, affecting the quality of the water resource as it flows back into the system. And we have examples where cattle or the people can't even drink the water.
And it breaks the ecosystem as well. I mean, besides the effects that it has on the water supply, is that you find that wildlife that may have been there before dies off, and that's the end of that, and that it breaks the whole system.
Yeah, if you can't use water, you can't use it. And say animals that are more hardy to users than, for example, a human being, if they even don't drink the water, then I think that is a good example. And the effects of mining is accumulating. So it accumulates over time as the exposure continues, and that is, in other words, the impact that you see maybe today may be much worse in 10, 15 years' time.
Yeah. I mean, what about the acid mine? I mean, the water, the pollution to the water, the pollution to the environment for those active mines. I mean, we're talking about disused mines, but mining that takes place in this area, how detrimental is that?
There is currently not an active mine at the moment, all disbanded. And, of course, with active mining that is taking place elsewhere, is the water that flows seepage into the mine must be pumped out, and that is, of course, already rich in heavy metals and the possibility of generating acid water. Yeah.
So the good news, there isn't an active mine, but the bad news is that the license are being given, their applications and the possibility of more mines operating in this area are very, very high and big. But the community is also desperate for the jobs, and the promise of a better life for them. But it's that catch that's in the middle.
Yeah, that is exactly. The mines come in and promise jobs. All the communities are trying to buy in. The reality is, however, that the mines using expert workers, which are not from this area, and of course everything goes around economy, and it means that also just optimum numbers of labor will be used. The history and the legacy of this area, that there are much more abandoned mines than that there were operating mines. Okay, there is one at the moment that got through below the radar, that started mining on the edge of our area. But the number of workers that they employ are very, very little.
Unbelievable. I know, and we saw that yesterday, and that it was a bit heartbreaking to see these people desperately coming, thinking that this is going to be their card to a better life, which one would hope. But let's talk about the journey today. You've helped put this one together. Where are you taking us today?
Leanne, we start first at a very good example of an abandoned mine. The way it looks and the way it affects the area. Then from there on, we are going to a piggery, and there we will see how the traditional German methods of pig farming transformed into modern technology. These German farmers are also a very good example of buy-in into good environmental practices and utilizing modern technology, decreasing the cost, for example, and then also the impact on the environment regarding waste control. Then we are moving out of this area, which is a unique area on its own, and move into a drier region, lower rainfall, total different vegetation, where we will see very large examples of erosion because of poor land practices and overgrazing. Then we arrive at Bivani Dam. That is our organization's dam, quite a large dam, and the group will approach it by walking through the valleys and then paddle through a beautiful gorge for about 3 kilometers up to the campsite or the chalets. And then tomorrow we are moving towards Pongola. Yeah. And Pongola, I will give them an oversight of the sugarcane production. Pongola has one of the largest irrigation schemes in the country, a very large sugarcane producing area. And we are distributing water to the farmers through about 240 kilometers of network of canals. Yeah. And then we go and look at another a parallel project, the environmental champs, that are doing work in the townships by monitoring potable water leaks, sewer leaks, and how some of these local population try to do recycling. From there on, the group will move to the 5th largest dam in South Africa, the Jusini Dam or the Pongola Poor Dam. They will go across that to the end point of tonight, and then also experience still, I would say, the continuing drought, because this is the 5th largest dam, but it's still 40% of capacity, so it's very low. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a fascinating day ahead, and certainly something that I think all of us are looking forward to. A rest after a big day yesterday, so I believe it's not too much walking, but I think we all actually enjoyed the walking yesterday. But thank you, Johann. Thank you very, very much. Look forward to spending the day with you and finding out a little bit more about all of this, the areas, the mines, you name it. And I think it's just such a fascinating adventure. And we will be crossing to you again tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to find out everything we experienced today and the education drive that we're going on. I'm going to leave you with these words that I found, and I think it's actually quite apt when you think about something like this. It was the words of Benjamin Franklin. He went on to say that when the well runs dry, then you realize the worth of water. Well, today we are here to talk about the worth of water before that well runs dry. All right, South Africa, I say goodbye to you from here as we begin our journey in the next couple of minutes. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning bright and early. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. It's 8 o'clock. Time for your news.